Start at once. I just want to hear some stories. I like.
What are we doing here, man? Bring it up. Well, there was this one time.
He's at a bar.
Talk to us, man. It's very informal. What do you have? Let's see. This other guy's got a question.
All right.
Young fella. What's it like to be a wrestler? Well, it's kind of exciting, but it's also kind of hard because you're traveling all the time. You're on the road. Like today, my daughter's in a big volleyball game down in South Carolina, and I'm up here working. And these guys know you miss a lot of birthdays, a lot of holidays. You're on the road, and you're away from your family. So for all the big glory shows at Madison Square Garden and WrestleMania, you know, sometimes you do Minot, North Dakota, 30 people in the arena. So it's fun, but also it's hard.
Yes, it is. I had 3 sons. It's like when you have a birthday party, you want your dad and your mom there with you, right? So a lot of times we weren't there with our children making birthday parties. And, you know, there's a lot of good and there's some bad, and we have to deal with the weather at airports. Sometimes we slept on the floor at airports, and because the planes won't fly in, and you know, there's a lot of things that can happen as you travel. But when we're in the ring, there's nothing better. You know, we really enjoy the fans and entertaining the fans.
I'm going to carry on with the theme of sacrifice. There's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of reward. You sacrifice, put the time in, work your way up. When I started wrestling, you had to do indies and work your way up. Now guys get signed, they go right to Florida. They get paid to train. I know Tito, I know Hacksaw, PJ. We all worked our way up. I'm not saying that the guys don't work, but I know when I broke into the business, I had to sacrifice a lot of things to make my way up the chart, so to speak. Like I traveled to New England, Pittsburgh, South Carolina, 10 bucks. Now, guys are getting $500-700 a week just to work out and wrestle. So, what these guys have said, you know, you're sacrificing and missing birthday parties, holidays, weddings. I had a lot of friends who got married. But in the long run, you know, if you really want something bad enough and you're passionate about it, you're going to sacrifice. So it's, you know, 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. If you really want something bad enough, that stuff doesn't bother you. To me, you have a small window of opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. You know, you miss birthday number 5 through 8, you'll be there for the rest of it. This is my attitude. Because I played football when I did wrestling. So, I knew where I wanted to be, and obviously there's certain steps you have to take to get there. So, it's not rocket science, it's not fiddly. You know what you want to do, you know what you have to do. And you know when you get there, it's going to be hard. Just like anything else. If you want it bad enough, you'll do it.
I guess this is for all 4 of you. What opponent was the most fun to work with over the years, like in the ring? And I don't know, just we'll start down here if you just want to go at it.
Well, for me, most interesting opponent would be Sabu. You know, he was, you know, his uncle is the Sheik, going back into the 60s and 70s, and Sabu was scary, you know, because you didn't know, half the time he didn't know where he was coming, or, you know, whether he's coming or going, but, you know, he had this, what he brought to the table was air of realism, that unfortunately in this business, not too many people can bring anymore. He made you believe. He made me believe. Until I got to know him, I was scared to death to get in the ring with him. I really was, you know, just the way he looked, all the scars on his, you know, body, and the things he did to himself, not just others. You know, and then when you got to know him and work with him, I mean, he's just a great guy, regular guy, but he brought an old school mentality of, you know, selling it to the fans to where, look, you know, I'm going to be this crazy, insane person, and that's who he was. He was this crazy, insane person. He took a lot of risks, a lot of professional risks, but he made the people believe. Very few people did what Sabu did in this day, in the internet age of everybody being so smart, and we embraced that. And but for me, Sabu is
somebody that I hold very high.
That's cool. I guess just your opponent that you had the most fun with in the ring, and just.
I was visualizing. I lead deep, so every once in a while I just lose track of what's on. Anyway, it was a football. Yeah. You never get hit in the head, right?
No.
Actually, one of my co-panelists, I've had some fond memories with wrestling over in Europe. He might not like the story, but I think it's kind of funny. Hacksaw and I wrestled in Europe, and I was pretty much just starting at WWE, so I was like, I wanted to make, everything hard, stick everything in there, and one of my clothes on go, okay, well,
Too much knocking my head off.
But, I have the utmost respect for Hacksaw. He's always been one of my favorite wrestlers, and it was a thrill to work with him, and I'm so honored to do stuff like this with him, and I consider him a good friend, but at the time, he wanted to kill me, and I had to, kiss his ass, so it wasn't so
That wasn't my ass.
We're supposed to tell anybody. But that is a little funny story I always remember to this day. I tell people, and as you can see, him and I are still really good friends. So, but I always chuckle about that.
With me, I think, and Jim and I have been in the business pretty much about the same time, and it took us a while to realize the business and to figure it out. Our job was to convince the fans that everything we were doing was real, because it was pretty close to real. And we worked with some guys that just would lay it in, and you tell them, you don't have to convince me, I believe you, convince the fans. So, we grew up with the attitude that we protected each other's body. We still went out there and we gave it 100%, but we took care of each other's body. And, you wanted to go in there with somebody that you were going to have a heck of a match and not get hurt. I hate to say this, but Honky Tonk to me, every time I step into the ring with him, Honky Tonk in real life, I don't think he could really break an egg, so you go in there, you have a hell of a match with the guy, and you knew going in that you weren't going to get hurt, and I really enjoyed working with a lot of the other guys, but with some of the guys, and Jim and all these guys can say this, we've been through matches when we'd say, I go home and I tell my wife, I've been in easier street fights than, some of the matches that we've been in. So you want to go into the ring with somebody that you're going to give the fans 100% and not get hurt. Because we used to wrestle 360 days a year.
Wow.
So, and if you were hurt, you still had to go into the ring. So, the idea was to take care of each other's bodies.
I used to argue with my dad all the time that it was real. He'd sit there and yell, "It's not real." I was like, "Look at it, you can't say that." Growing up, I loved it. I still
pretty
do.
Close to real.
Yeah, you got to be an athlete to do it. You just can't be anybody, man. You got to.
It wasn't real with the ending. We knew the ending, but we had to convince the fans that it was real. Because we relied on the draw of the house. We didn't get paid with the big contracts that we have now. We had to draw.
I enjoyed working with Ted DiBiase. I wrestled Ted thousands of times all over the world. Ted was a second-generation wrestler, and I think guys like Ted, Jake, Kurt Hennig, guys who grew up in the business had a little better understanding of wrestling. I wasn't a wrestling fan growing up, and I didn't watch wrestling until it started when I was 25 years old, so I had a tough time adapting to wrestling, but working with guys like Ted, that was the second generation. He taught me a lot over the years. Like Tito said, some guys enjoyed working with, other guys it was like pulling teeth. But it's gone full circle now. You do these indie shows, you get the kid 6'5", 285 pounds, 25 years old. He's like, "Mr. Duggan, are we on TV?" I'm like, "I hope not." We'll work with Snitsky in Europe.
Jim, talk about your time in the Legends House.
We just did a reality show called Legend House. They took 8 wrestlers, put us in Harpo Marx's mansion out in Palm Springs for 5 weeks. And it was as real as it could get. They didn't tell us to do anything. ran the full gamut of emotions. Roddy Piper and I, who I didn't really know, we became best friends over that 5 weeks. Now our families and friends. I talk to him regular. And then on the other hand, me and Tony Atlas, who I've known for 25 years, almost had a fist fight. So, you take 8 guys and put them in the house together, there's going to be a little conflict, especially those type of personalities. You had no cell phones, no computers, no TVs. You're really isolated from the outside world.
Do they only show that on the network?
Yes.
See, that's...
$9.99.
Yeah, and everything and anything, but I mean, they should have it on TV. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
I watched all of it. It was very
I think that's the first time I ever heard about that price. I don't know.
My autographs are $9.99.
right down the hallway.
No subscription at all.
Yes, sir, you guys.
Two-parter. Of all your favorite matches, of all your matches you've faced in your career, of all of them, which one is your favorite?
Me, I'll start Andre the Giant, main event at Madison Square Garden. I mean, I was growing up in upstate New York. To be main event at the Garden was a huge deal to pull up and see your name on the marquee. And of course, to pull up and see versus Andre the Giant. I mean, there was a double whammy that wrestle at the Garden and be wrestling in there with Andre. That was my favorite.
And Snitsky, like your catchphrase is not my fault. Like if I jumped off the dirt bike, like if I go off like 10 feet in the air and I wrecked, like why did you put the jump like that? I know you probably did. It's not my fault.
Well, the beauty of my catchphrase is it works for everything. And I use it for everything. Because my wife will yell at me, you forgot to do this, you forgot to do that. It's not my fault. Trust me, it works for everything. So when someone says something to you and you messed up, say it's not my fault. And then tell them I told you to say it. Yeah, it just kind of happened. I wasn't planning on it. Like I wasn't sitting backstage going, I need a catchphrase, I need a catchphrase. Like it just kind of, yeah, it came out and it just kind of had a mind of its own, basically. And they started telling me, make sure you say it's not my fault. Okay.
Well, the WrestleMania promo you guys did for that, and when you were on, I loved it. I mean, it was a full.
I mean, it's to this day, honest to God, 5 to 10 times every day of my life.
I wanted to yell it last night when you peeked your head in there, but everybody's like, he's heard it yesterday.
Yeah, I wish I had $1 every time I heard about it.
Well, how about you in the back? You had a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, you guys all got into the business at different periods, and so like we have a cool cross-section of the business's history here. I was wondering if you guys, from your individual points of view, kind of like how you feel like the business has changed over the years.
Well, I think I touched upon it a little bit. I mean, like when I started, and even Tito and Jim, it was worse when they started. It was, you know, like Tito said, they were wrestling 350, 360. When I was there at WWE, it's probably 250, maybe 300. But I think the major difference now is the guys just don't pay their dues. When we all started, you went to the shows, you shook hands with everybody. You just wanted to be there and meet people. Then eventually, if you were lucky enough, they put you on the show. Then if you were eventually good enough, you got to do a main event here and there. And you went to this show, and then that show, and then you built your way up. I don't really think that happened, to be honest with you, at all.
I think when we started, it was a wrestling show. Now it's a TV show, and we had to know what we were doing in the ring. Everybody in the ring knew ring psychology. Everything we did had a purpose. Now it's all out the window. You don't need, they don't want you to know ring psychology. They just want you to go in there and they tell you what. I mean, everything is scripted. We didn't have nothing was scripted for us. So it's just changed. Now it's a TV production, TV show. Back then it was a wrestling show. And, you're not going to sit here and knock what's going on today because they're still very successful. guys are still making a ton of money, and guys are still entertaining, you know, just a different ballgame.
It's still evolving, because everything, you know, football has changed since the 80s, you know, basketball, and the halftime cheerleaders, back in the day, a lady wrestler used to be a lady wrestler, now they're all divas. Everything changes, and it's cool to be around and see it evolve like it has, from going from a small little, you know, National Guard Army business to a worldwide monstrosity it is. I mean, I think when you go back around the show now, you go back to this, you know, 2518, you know, there's a dozen buses, 50 limos. I mean, it's amazing the production that goes on. And when you're there, I don't think a lot of times you realize what a huge production is, because you're in there, you're going 100 miles an hour. You come back at this stage of the game and go watch the show, you're like, it's a hell of a show.
Question is for Justin. What was it like wrestling for ECW back when ECW was, you know, really something special and completely different from, you know, the two other shows that was going on, and then to cross into
Sure. You know, I'm trying to actually, what your question blended into the question we were just talking about. Excuse me. The business has changed so drastically, dramatically. You know, during that time in the mid-90s, WWE, which I was part of in 1996, was very sugar-coated, very, you know, weird characters, kind of really cartoon characters coming out of, like, you know, how Vince was doing stuff from the 80s. It's just, you know, he kept going with what his formula was. And WCW, you know, had taken Hulk Hogan, and they were doing the same thing, just very, what you would expect, cartoon characters to promote their wrestling. And here came, you know, a group that said, you know, and with the birth of the internet as well, said, look, we want what wrestling used to be. I used to, as a fan, look at the magazines, because I was from Connecticut, I didn't get the stuff from the South, but you'd see, you know, Ric Flair bleeding, and like wrestling Harley Race, or, you know, Tommy Rich, you know, just won the NWA title, all this, you know, Stan Hansen, and you'd see stuff from all over the world. And I think it was that idea of getting wrestling back to what that wrestling that we all thought was missing, because WCW didn't provide it at that time in the mid-90s, neither did WWE. So, you know, Paul Heyman got a bunch of good guys together. He got Ed Gilbert, who was from the South, who had a great booking mind. He initially was there, you know, and so many others and Terry Funk was an integral part of it. Terry and Dory, who I know and respect very well. You know, let's just make it, you know, what we were doing, the hardcore stuff, it's been done before, just not to the degree of the way we did it. We were just trying to make wrestling, you know, relevant to fans that were smart. We were going counterculture. You know, WWE was putting out cartoon figures, like, you know, yay, buy my merchandise, real puffy stuff, where we were, hey, this is a, you know, we're presenting, our presentation was, this is a fight. We want, you know, titles matter. You know, wins and losses for these prestigious titles matter. Well, you know, if I have to go through hell to win that title, that's what it's going to be. And then we also took some gimmick matches that were happening in Japan, that, you know, from FFW in those days, that hadn't really been seen in the U.S. You know, those barbed wire had been done, but, you know, some of the more gimmicky matches. And Paul just kind of brought it in here with some, with attitude, with music of the times, you know, popular rock and roll hit music of the time, and just on steroids, and just made it a very exciting, you know, without, you know, I don't know what commercials is, but like 48 minutes, you know, of a show just in your face, with that just being the counter of what WWE and WCW was. And it worked. I mean, it gave us an opportunity of, like, you know, us against them. And it also meant the fans that liked that kind of wrestling against them, you know. And you know, it created a common bond with the fans, the wrestlers, and then, you know, and then if you notice, historically, WWE picked up on that with the Attitude Era, Nash and Hall when they went over. And then the business slowly started to change there, where it was like more reality-based, more violence, more hip. So, you know, it's never really about the violence. I hate that, you know, people think ECW is all blood and guts. And I mean, we did some cheap stunts along the way, no doubt. But it was just more about, you know, giving fans something that the other guys weren't giving them. And that's the biggest problem I see in the business today, unfortunately. They have some of the, WWE has the best athletes in the wrestling business, but unfortunately there's no other company there to challenge them. Unfortunately, TNA is not an alternative. You know, that they worry about. I mean, you know, that's the thing. It's like WWE's putting on great matches. Some of the best talents in the world are doing it. You know, but there's nobody there to challenge them. And sometimes that challenge just gets the best out of you. You know, and I think that's what's missing today is a legitimate alternative to the other product, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be blood and guts. It could just go into the other direction. Yeah, something like that. Anybody else? Appreciate it. Thanks, Joe. Yes, little man. Thanks, please. Go.
Out of all the title matches you've had, which was your favorite? Or what wrestler?
No, I'll go since I'm talking. My favorite title match was when I won the title, and I remember the date. It was June 6th, 2000, and I beat a wrestler named Tommy Dreamer for the ECW heavyweight title. So that was my favorite title match. So I actually became champion.
My favorite title match is Shelton Benjamin for the Intercontinental Championship at Penn State. It was the first time my wife came to see me wrestle live, and we did a spot with a chair where Shelton hit me with a chair when I was trying to get back into the ring, and my wife was like 10 feet away, and she wasn't like into the whole wrestling thing, and he hit me so hard with the chair, it bent over my head, and it sounded like a shotgun going off, and my wife was like, oh my God! Like, it's okay.
You must have owed him money.
I told him to hit me, because Jim will tell you, I mean, he went there when I was there. I only met Tito from working my way up. But, yeah, I was one of those guys where if you're going to hit me with something, hit me. Because I wanted to look.
Yeah, sure.
I
was the opposite. I'd flip you 100. Please don't hit me. I was the other way.
I never put my hand up. I never did any of that shit. Because I was always the guy that was like, well, I'm a tough guy. I can do it. Just hit me. I don't care. Make it look as hard as you can. And he did. And I was like, man, that's pretty good. And then my wife was just like, oh my God. Yeah, she tells friends to this day. And that's my excuse. When I forget something as well, young man.
You got hit.
I get hit in the head with chairs too many times.
Glad I never wrestled you, my friend.
It was.
I never wrestled you.
Mine, according to Howard Finkel, the feud that Greg Valentine and I had was the longest in the history of the WWE. Yeah. We wrestled against each other for close to a year and a half, and then we ultimately had the cage match in Baltimore.
Remember that?
And you know, the way that the people got with the whole thing. You know, and to have the climax in the cage match was my favorite time.
But it mattered then, man. People bought it.
Yeah.
It was a big difference. I mean, I'm sorry to, you know, but because I was a fan at that time, and I remember and that shit didn't matter. It was like, is Tito going to come out of that? But seriously, you know, it was the fans, and that's what I hate nowadays. Everything is so formula. You know, don't worry, it'll be next week. I know everything will be all right. Like this, you had to tune in. You had to buy a ticket because you didn't know. You know, and I missed that. That's why, you know, that thing it is. God, you can remember about my favorite one is when I beat Stunning Steve Austin so bad he had to shave his head and change his name to Stone Cold.
Nice.
I'm going to kick back all the credit.
Your UWF stuff was pretty sick, Hacksaw. Your UWF stuff was pretty sick.
But yeah, it was tough territory down there with Buzz and only live territory.
Yes, it was, sir. That's where that's where a lot of people really. Well, from what they say, the smart fan. I would, like I said, there wasn't like all this television or internet. I read from the magazines that this guy was a killer. That's where you made your reputation. If you were an East Coast guy, that was a Louisiana territory. You're like you knew he was. That's. I heard about Hacksaw Duggan before he went to WWF. I was in grammar school / high school, but you knew. There was no battles down there, and that's almost like sometimes the less you see, the more you want to see. That anticipation. Carlos Colon and Abdullah the Butcher wrestled how many times, and I'm sure wasn't the most exciting matches, but in magazines you see all that, the fork and the blood. Seriously, and that's like, oh my God, these guys must be. It was that anticipation that that other thing. Yes, anybody can speak.
Out of all your favorite WrestleMania matches, you or other wrestlers, which one is your favorite?
Well, because that was the first match of WrestleMania 1.
Wow.
Executioner?
The Executioner. At the time, I didn't realize how important that opening match was. It took me a while to realize. Right before I went to the curtains, Vince said, the reason you're number one is because you're going to set the tempo to the night. And that's why you're there. So I realized, how important. And then I was pretty upset at the beginning. I had a big angle. How can I be opening
number one?
Yeah, number one. And it put a different perspective to why I was there.
He was WrestleMania 3. They had Silverdome with 93,000 people. It was Nikolai and the Sheik against the Killer Bees. And I ran down my 2x4 and I hit Nikolai, hit the Sheik, hit the timekeeper, hit the referee. I hit a couple people ringside too. But at the end of it, standing in the middle of the ring, having 93,000 people chanting USA, USA, humbling awesome.
I think I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm too far. There was a time when Duggan was selling more merchandise than anybody in WWE, and he was the man.
Yeah, they had those 2x4s.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good business for me. A lot of folks hear the Scott Hall stories, and of course Jake, a good friend of mine, stories.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 35 years. Never had to go to rehab for booze or drugs. I've been with my wife for 25 years. Never had a felony arrest. It's been a good business.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You don't need for 15.
Pardon?
You don't need for 15.
Driving.
I don't want to sit at that short-term memory loss. I'm sitting out there going, oh, USA. I'll just, the building just collapsed. I'm going to have to sit over it. I'll just stay out here for a while.
For your WrestleMania, you're talking about everybody's WrestleMania moments? Sort of two. My WrestleMania match, I've only been in one, was Houston Astrodome opening match, X-Pac and myself against Scotty 2 Hotty and Brian Christopher. What was Christopher's name? Grandmaster Sexy in a tag match, and we won, which was my WrestleMania moment, the only time I've ever been in WrestleMania. But the one I remember more so that impacted me was, and I was there backstage just right before I signed the deal, was Shawn Michaels against Razor Ramon in that ladder match. That's when I first got into the company, and was that really impacted because kind of never saw stuff like that, especially in WWF. You saw it other places, but not in WWF. So that was really something that always will stick out for me, other than my own.
And I got another question. Out of all the craziest which one do you think is the most crazy?
Well, I don't want to be biased. Definitely, Putting the Baby Doll was the best.
You know, to me, the biggest one, only because I wasn't there. I watched it on pay-per-view, and I'll never forget. I was at my mother-in-law's house, and we spent the night, and I'd ordered the pay-per-view, and I don't make it past like 10:30 most nights. I go to bed early. I got kids. But anyways, I was watching and it was Mick Foley versus Taker in Hell in a Cell. And when Cactus, all I hear is JR doing, oh my God, when Foley went off the top of the cage, it just to me was something. It just seemed, even for me, at that time being in the business 10 years, still was like, are you kidding me? Are you, I mean, that's, and it was, I'll never forget that. It really kind of, it scares you when you see that, because it scares you because A, you're worried about him, and then two, you're like, do I gotta top that shit somewhere down there? So yeah, that was something. That was mine.
I got a question.
I gotta pee.
Tito Santana, how was it playing Bloody Rose in that first
Buddy Rose, anybody who remembers Buddy Rose was one heck of a wrestler. For a big guy, I just never could figure out how he could do a one-arm push-up at his size. It was just one of those matches where I know that, again, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to have a good match, and I'm not going to get hurt. And, I had a lot of respect for the guy. I think he never got the credit that he deserved. He was a great performer.
He happens to be one of my favorite wrestlers besides you and Mr. Hacksaw Duggan. I'm going over to the other side here, but I just wanted to know, because you said it right, Buddy Rose didn't get the recognition that you had his name was the executioner. I remember it, because you happened, I was following you guys at that time.
Yeah, just like speaking of Tony Atlas, when I first started the business, Tony Atlas was pretty new in the business, and he used to wear a mask, but he happened to be Mr. USA, so he showed this picture of Mr. USA who was him without the mask. So, it was hard to figure out who was behind his mask. And next time they used to protect the mask. Tony was proud of Mr. USA.
You were talking earlier about working with Andre. I was just wondering, how was it being on the roster with Andre and interesting stories working with him or backstage?
Yeah, Andre, I got along, I know Tito got along good with Andre too. As we talked before, Andre, some people got along with him, some didn't, but Andre actually elevated me from a mid-card guy to a main event guy where he challenged anybody. Of course, if there's a giant in the WWE, John Studd, the Yokozuna, Umaga, Kali, Big Show. They're like, Duggan, come here. Come on, boy, come on. Every giant there is, So anyway, so I ran down and challenged Andre, and I had my chin on his belly. I was looking up at him on TV, and I'm like, I'm not afraid of you. He went and grabbed me, and his thumb hit my lip, and just about tore my lip off. I fell down like this. But now blood is cascading down my chest. Pouring down my chest. Andre's got me by the throat. He's choking me down. Now I'm down on my knees. I feel around. Boom, I got the 2x4. Boom, hit the big giant with the 2x4. He goes down like a great redwood. We go off the air. I'm standing over Andre the Giant covered in blood. Oh! That moved me up from a mid-card guy who I was working with Andre. And of course, if he didn't want to do that, that wouldn't just been my lip hanging off.
Don't worry, I'll get my other. If some guy like him comes back around, I'll get my 2x4.
There you go.
I pretty much played cards with Andre every night. I mean, as soon as I walked in the ring, boss, he didn't have to play cribbage or gin with him.
Yeah.
And he needed to be entertained. Wrestling was his life. I met Andre in 1977 when I started. I was just getting started in Atlanta, and nobody told me, your job is to go pick up Andre at the airport, and I had a little 75 Granada. Bucket seat. Andre gets in the passenger side, he leans back, breaks the chair in my car, and we became friends after that. Whenever Andre was around, I had to buy bigger cars. Whenever he was around, he would ride with me, and I wasn't doing it, for any other reason than I enjoyed him, and I was just, amazed that he even wanted to spend some time with me. And then about 3 years later, Andre the Giant, I was wrestling in Texas. He had taken a liking to me, and as a matter of fact, he used to sleep I give him my bed in my apartment, and his legs would hang out, from my bed. But he never told me this. He took a tape and brought it to Vince McMahon Sr., and before I know it, I'm wrestling in New York, and it's paid off, but I didn't do it for that. But everybody here can tell you that Andre, he had the biggest heart. I mean, he was a good man.
It's funny you mentioned playing cards. That was a big part of our deal back in the day. We always play a lot of cards. Matter of fact, some of my best keepsakes is Sergeant Slaughter used to make these elaborate brackets where if you lost, you go in I mean, names like Mr. Fuji, Big Boss, and Kurt Hennig, Stein, everybody's names on that. Everybody chipped in, Of course, they made you quit playing cards. You get there playing cards.
You lost your sources?
Yeah, we stopped that after a while. You get out there playing cards, you're like, is that my music? Yeah. This one time I had my cards, I put them in my knee pad, walking around backstage. So I forgot all about it, So I got out and I'm wrestling, I dropped the big knee, it was like a magic trick, cards go. Sean like, what's going on? Somebody must have threw a deck of cards. I don't know where they came from.
Guys, I hate to cut this short. We have time for one more, and then you can, meet these guys at the table and go through the merchandise and everything.
Please come hang out.
So we got one more. Let you guys pick out who it is.
Anybody that you wanted to wrestle that you never got an opportunity to?
Yeah. Real quick, Ric Flair. Double side. Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat. That feud in 1989, and I know they wrestled many other times, but I was a junior in high school then, 1989, and that's what made me want to get into the business. I have been blessed enough to be, I wouldn't say friends, but acquaintances of those two guys, been around them, and that was the sole reason for me wanting to get into this business. What they did in the ring was, even though I knew it wasn't a legitimate sport, for those 15-20 minutes, it was for me, and they were a credit to this business as far as the way they presented pro wrestling, and I always admired them and wish I could have been at least one, and there was one of those guys.
There's a lot of guys out there that do wrestling, but
I don't want to wish you did wrestle, gee.
I wish I would have been in these guys there, because the stories I've heard and knowing these guys personally, I would have fit in. I mean, I fit in really good in my era, and there's still stories floating around about me because I just like to have a good time. But I know if I'd been hanging out with Hacksaw or Tito back in the 70s, I would either been dead or in jail.
Well, luckily, in our era, we pretty much got the rest of everybody we were in touch with. We were around long enough to.
For me, one guy was Hogan. I wrestled with him as a tag team partner, but never against the dog and baby faces. And I think Hogan is kind of the pinnacle of our business. A lot of people are critical of his work, but there's only one Hulk Hogan.
Only wrestler ever on Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, Hogan. It would have been cool to work with. Yeah.
I wrestled him early in my career. We were one of the people that
You wrestled most of them.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Feel free to go.
put it in the weekender. Come on,
Let's go.
everybody, come on up.
Stop by all our Sophia, some of those dudes.